Okay. Let's see. We're gonna be reacting to Reddit, I think.
I brought home a service dog without asking. My parents kept a notebook to prove I'd failed. I was 14 and begging my parents for a service dog. My anxiety was so bad I couldn't get out of the car at school. My therapist said a trained dog could help me calm down. My parents kept saying no. Dad said dogs were too much work and too...
That's pretty true. Dogs are too much work, but still, you gotta love them. I mean, like, yeah, I'd get a dog if I could.
expensive. Mom said I was exaggerating to skip class. At dinner, too anxious for school. How will you walk a dog every day? A week later, my cousin Jake called. His friend had to give up a lab mix named Scout. I met Jake at the park and walked home with the dog. I opened the door and my parents froze. Mom asked where the dog came from. Dad asked why there was a dog in his kitchen. Their voices rose. Mom talked about vet bills and messes. Dad said I couldn't just bring home an animal. I said I'd handle it. Dad said, prove it. He gave me 1 week and pulled out a small blue notebook to keep score. If I slipped, Scout went back. Day 1, he wrote that I forgot to refill the water bowl before school. I filled it, taped a note by the sink, and set an alarm. That evening, I taught Scout to wait on the mat while I wiped his paws. Day 2, he wrote mud on carpet, circled twice. I scrubbed the stain, set a towel by the door, and added wipe paws to my checklist. That first night, something shifted. Most nights, I woke around 3 with a tight chest. When my breath shortened, Scout hopped on the bed, lowered his head on my chest, and stayed. His weight was steady. My breathing slowed. I slept until my alarm. At breakfast, Mom asked why I looked rested. I told her what Scout did. She said it was just excitement. Day 3 was math tutoring with Mr. Peterson, the session that usually ended with me crying in the hallway. I brought Scout and asked if he could lie by my chair. Mr. Peterson sighed, then nodded. I started a problem. My leg bounced. Scout touched my wrist with his paw. I exhaled and kept writing. When my breath sped up, his nose nudged my elbow. I solved one problem, then another, then a third. No tears. Mr. Peterson said, "You were focused today," and he emailed my parents. Day 4 was a meeting with the counselor, Mrs. Collins, because I had missed too many classes. My stomach turned all morning. I brought Scout, sat, and wrapped the leash around my hand. Mrs. Collins asked about attendance. The panic rose fast. Scout put his paw on my knee and met my eyes until my hands stopped shaking. Mrs. Collins watched. When I fidgeted, he nudged. When my voice thinned, he leaned. After 20 minutes, she said she wanted to speak with my parents. That evening, she called them. She said, "Your daughter is a different person with this dog. This isn't a phase or an excuse. This is a tool that helps her function." When they hung up, nobody spoke. Day 5, the notebook entries got small. Hair on couch, leash on table. Vacuumed and hung the leash on a hook. I added chores without being asked. Food at 7, walk at 7:30, water after school, short fetch, brushing before bed. I wrote the list above the bowls and checked each box. Scout learned the pattern. Shoes on, he sat by the door. Timer chimed, he came to the kitchen. After homework, I practiced breathing with him, counting in and out with my hand on his fur. On the way to school, I reached the front steps before my throat tightened. It didn't win. Dad still kept the notebook. He didn't make jokes anymore. He just watched. Then came day 6. The house was quiet at 2 in the morning. I woke to a thin sound from my parents.
Okay, you know if something bad's gonna happen. Like, I bet you there's gonna be like a robber or something that's gonna happen. You know, like, it's just...
room, air catching and rushing. Scout heard it too. He slid off the bed and trotted down the hall. I followed and stopped at the doorway. Dad sat up with his hands on his chest, eyes wide, breath too fast. Before I could speak, Scout climbed onto the bed and lowered his head onto Dad's chest, the same way he did with me. Dad didn't push him off. He put a hand on Scout's neck. His breath slowed in small steps. The room settled. I stood there a minute, then...
Huh. So he's just having a heart attack.
went back to my room and listened to the quiet. Morning, nobody mentioned the night, but things had moved. Scout's bowls were no longer by the trash can. They were stacked in the lower cabinet by the sink. His toys sat in a small basket by Dad's chair. The blue notebook lay closed on the counter. I touched the cover and waited. Dad came in from the yard. He looked at Scout, then at me, like he was weighing something and had reached the same answer twice. He lifted one shoulder and said, "I guess he's staying." Now my parents are saying I forced them by bringing Scout home. Was I wrong? I brought home a service dog without asking.
No.
My girlfriend asked for a break, so I returned the ring and moved to Japan to teach English. I was about to propose when my girlfriend sat me down and said we needed a break to see if we missed each other.
What? No, this is so fake. That's stupid too.
Kept my face calm and said I understood. She had no idea there was a ring hidden in my sock drawer, a vintage emerald cut that cost 3 months of pay. I'd already talked to her dad over beers at his favorite sports bar, booked our anniversary dinner for Valentine's Day, and practiced a simple speech in my car during lunch. That Tuesday night, she kept using soft words about space and growth and finding ourselves. She fidgeted with the silver bracelet I gave her last Christmas and watched me like I might beg. I didn't. I helped her fold clothes into an overnight bag and walked her to the door. She paused, then left. My head felt clear. First thing the next morning, I went to the jewelry store and returned the ring. The clerk gave me a kind look and processed the refund. $2,000 hit my account before lunch. On the walk home, I stopped, opened my notes app, and wrote one line. Go. I bought a one-way ticket to Tokyo, leaving in 10 days, and told no one but my buddy Jake. I'd always wanted to teach English in Japan. Lisa hated that idea every time I brought it up. She called it running from real responsibility. She wanted a map for life. Suburb house, 2 kids, a neat fence. I wanted a chance to try. 10 days later, I stood at Shibuya Crossing with one black suitcase and awful Japanese. I rented a tiny studio near Akihabara with paper-thin walls and a window that stuck. I burned noodles and set off the alarm.
That's a skill issue. Just don't burn your noodles.
Because I didn't open the fan. I got hired at a conversation school to cover evening classes. My first lesson was shaky. I held up flashcards, bowed too many times, and said the wrong word for water. After class, I walked past vending machines and neon, repeating new phrases under my breath. I studied daily with free apps and YouTube, and kept a notebook of small wins. Order ramen without pointing. Read a train sign without help. Ask for directions, and understand the answer. Days moved fast. I bought a cheap bike, learned which store had warm pancakes, and found a cafe that played soft city pop in the mornings. Jake sent me screenshots of Lisa's posts. She was out with friends every weekend, smiling at the camera, posting flirty photos with song lyrics. He said she asked about me in a casual way, like she expected I would drift back. I didn't answer. I set my phone to do not disturb during class and left it face down when I studied. Month 3, my Japanese was good enough for small talk. That's when I met Yuki at a language exchange in a tucked away Harajuku cafe. She was studying international business at Waseda, spoke near perfect English, and had a quick laugh that filled the space. We traded phrases, corrected each other, and laughed when I mixed up words. We started meeting twice a week. We shared convenience store coffee and those fluffy pancakes. We kept it simple. Museums on rainy Sundays, cheap bowls of udon after class, slow walks through busy streets where we pointed at signs and took turns reading them. I noticed the way she listened
Okay. Take her, not the girl. Don't go back to the girl.
without rushing me. She noticed when I was nervous and gave me time. I told her the truth about the canceled proposal and the one-way ticket. She nodded and said, "You chose yourself." One morning, my phone lit up with a stack of messages while we sat by the window. I made a huge mistake. I miss us. This break was a bad idea.
Too bad. Like what?
Can we talk? Please come home. Another message arrived. I saw Jake's story. Are you really in Japan teaching little kids? This is ridiculous. Then another. Answer me right now. You can't ignore me. We
Yeah, he can.
need to fix this. I stared at the screen and felt the old pull to explain and defend. I didn't move. Yuki slid the last pancake toward me and raised an eyebrow. I turned the phone so she could see. She read the screen slowly, set the phone down, and said in even English, "Tell her you found someone who doesn't need a break to decide." I thought about the hotel reservation I had canceled, the speech I had practiced, the refund sitting in my bank app. I thought about the late trains, the sticky window, the flashcards, and the quiet pride of naming things right. I typed with both thumbs. I found someone who knows what she wants without taking a break. I hope you find what you're looking for. I hit send. My chest felt light and steady. Her reply popped up almost at once. "Japan is a stupid idea. You're throwing your life away on a fantasy."
Well, he's gonna throw his life away if he goes with you.
I didn't type back. I slid the phone face down and pushed it to the middle of the table. Yuki read the last line, smiled, and said, "Should we mention our engagement party next month?" I laughed before I could stop myself. She laughed too. The clerk looked over from behind the counter at the two of us cracking up by the window. I picked up the coffee cup, took a calm sip, and let the phone stay where it was. Now my friends are saying I'm petty for refunding the ring. Was I wrong? My girlfriend asked for a break, so I returned the ring and moved. My sister-in-law faked a pregnancy, and I exposed it at the baby
Why would you fake a pregnancy? This is kind of weird, man.
shower as an OB. I went to my brother David's baby shower with my wife, Sarah. The room was full of blue balloons and a table of cupcakes. People took pictures and passed gifts to Jessica. David kept a hand on her shoulder. 7 months, he said. We're almost there. I'm an obstetrician.
Hold up, I'll be right back.
I've delivered thousands of babies. I don't bring work to parties, but my eyes still notice things. At 7 months, most moms move slower and guard their backs. Jessica stood in heels and never shifted. The small things piled up until my chest felt tight. She floated from guest to guest like a host. She asked moms about sleep and cravings and had quick answers ready. Ginger tea helps. A pillow between the knees. It sounded practiced. She talked about her OB, a Dr. Rodriguez I'd never heard of, and said everything was perfect. I nodded and said nothing. David told me he'd built the crib and ordered a fancy stroller. On the fridge, he'd taped ultrasound prints. The dates jumped months, but the fetus never changed angle. The labels were cropped. I felt a drop in my stomach and put the pictures back without a word. At
Kinda sus if you ask me. I'll be right back.
4 o'clock, Jessica gasped and pressed a hand to her belly. "He's moving like crazy. You have to feel him," she said, and people clapped. A line formed. Palms touched the dress. I stayed back. I don't like crossing medical lines at parties. Then she turned. "Michael, you're the expert. Come feel your nephew." Sarah gave me a small nudge. I set my hand on the right side of the bump. I have felt rolls, kicks, hiccups with weight and depth. Real movement pushes from inside. What I felt skimmed under the skin. It was light and even. A loop that never changed. There was no firm point pressing back. I kept my face calm. "Very active," I said. Then to Sarah, "Help me grab something from the car." We walked to the kitchen. I shut the door. "Call 911, I said. She blinked. "Why? Didn't you feel the baby?" "That's not a baby," I said. "It's a prosthetic with a device. We need professionals, and we need to keep it quiet." Sarah went pale but pulled out her phone. In the living room, someone yelled, "Something's wrong!" We ran back. Jessica had folded onto the sofa and clutched her belly. "He stopped moving," she cried. Guests looked at me. David's eyes were huge. "Do we call 911? "Already did," Sarah said. I kept my voice steady. "Jessica, lie back so we can take a look." "No," she snapped. "I have to sit up. It's his position." She swatted my hand away. I watched her breathing. It was fast and sharp on purpose. "Who's your OB?" I asked. "Dr. Rodriguez," she said, not meeting my eyes. "How long?" "Months," she said. David added, "She goes alone. Says it's her peaceful time with the baby." I asked him, "Have you seen the scans?" "They're on the fridge," he said. I walked to the kitchen, lifted the prints, and looked closer. The same fetus image appeared again and again with different dates in marker. I brought them back and kept my voice low. "These aren't real," I said. David stared at the pictures, then at Jessica, then at me. His mouth opened and closed without sound. Sirens grew out. Told me he'd built the crib and ordered a fancy stroller. On the fridge, he'd taped ultrasound prints. The dates jumped months, but the fetus never changed angle. The labels were cropped. I felt a drop in my stomach and put the pictures back without a word. At 4 o'clock, Jessica gasped and pressed a hand to her belly. "He's moving like crazy. You have to feel him," she said, and people clapped. A line formed. Palms touched the dress. I stayed back. I don't like crossing medical lines at parties. Then she turned. "Michael, you're the..." We called my friend's girlfriend, Veronica. My sister-in-law.
I just messed that up.
There was no firm point pressing back. I kept my face calm. Very active, I said. Then to Sarah, help me grab something from the car? We walked to the kitchen. I shut the door. Call 911, I said. She blinked. Why? Didn't you feel the baby? That's not a baby, I said. It's a prosthetic with a device. We need professionals, and we need to keep it quiet. Sarah went pale but pulled out her phone. In the living room, someone yelled, "Something's wrong!" We ran back. Jessica had folded onto the sofa and clutched her belly. He stopped moving, she cried. Guests looked at me. David's eyes were huge. Do we call 911? Already did.
Why would you put a prosthetic in you? It's just kind of disgusting.
Sarah said. I kept my voice steady. Jessica, lie back so we can take a look. No, she snapped. I have to sit up. It's his position. She swatted my hand away. I watched her breathing. It was fast and sharp on purpose. Who's your OB? I asked. Dr. Rodriguez, she said, not meeting my eyes. How long? Months, she said. David added. She goes alone. Says it's her peaceful time with the baby. I asked him, have you seen the scans? They're on the fridge, he said. I walked to the kitchen, lifted the prints,
This is stupid.
and looked closer. The same fetus image appeared again and again with different dates in
Yeah,
marker.
I
I brought them.
know
We
that.
called my friend's girlfriend, Veronica the vampire. She saw our texts and thinks he's cheating. I met Nate about a year and a half ago when I
Veronica the Vampire. It's pretty badass name.
was finishing my degree. He was a PhD student who gave a guest lecture that lined up with my dissertation. I thought he was gorgeous, but our uni had strict rules after a messy case, so no dating students at all. I stayed after to ask about my paper, and he offered to read a draft. That turned into quick check-ins and library sessions. I finished my degree, and he stayed in my life as a friend. Once, after he was no longer teaching me and not breaking any rule,
It's, like really weird, really fast.
we drunkenly kissed. We pulled back
I called it. Like just boom. It's
and both said there was no spark. We laughed, promised not to be weird, and moved on. During those months, he told me about his parents pushing him to marry after his younger brother did. He was not dating anyone and did not want to pick a stranger to make his mum happy. I said, half joking, that he should say he was seeing a vampire. We took the bit too far. We named her Veronica McVampire. We gave her a night job and habits like avoiding early lectures and wearing sunglasses. It became
He called my friend's girlfriend Veronica the Vampire. Okay. Alright, now I understand it.
a private shorthand. If he went on a date, he was cheating on Veronica. If he canceled dinner, Veronica had lured him away. It stayed in one-to-one chats or texts. Then he met Kate. She worked
Okay, so Kate's into the equation now. I bet you something even weirder is gonna happen. Because
nights, slept odd hours, and kept blackout curtains. Before they were exclusive, we joked that maybe Kate was Veronica and this was a test. The joke was silly, but it stuck. I would text, "Are we still on for dinner with V?" And he would reply, "V is feeling rough, so we may skip." I liked Kate. We were friendly, and I saw how happy he was. We never wrote anything cruel about Kate or Veronica. We did not use the name out loud around her. It was lazy shorthand between us, and we assumed no one else would see it. One afternoon, I sent him a message about plans with V. A banner popped up on his phone while he and Kate were canceling their plans because she felt unwell. She asked who V was. He said too fast that it was an inside joke with me. She took that to mean I was Veronica. She already knew about the one kiss and the lack of chemistry because we had been honest. She asked to see the messages. He showed her the thread. It was obvious that V meant her. He explained that the joke started before we met her and that it was never meant to mock. She heard it and did not accept it. Why did we have a secret name for her? Why did we talk about her at all? Why did we make up a character? It sounded petty when dragged into daylight. At 11 last night, he texted me, "Can I come over? It's important." I had just finished work and was near his flat, so I offered to go to him. He called it once and said it was not a good idea because it was about Kate. I said without thinking, "Is Veronica?"
wait, I gotta go, guys. I'm ending the live now. How do I do this? Set, no. Oh, I don't even know how to turn this off. Oh, end stream. It's a huge button.